Hey, I'm Jordan Imiola, and this is a lesson for my TV writing course. There's a link to this course in the video description. Now, let's talk about writing a TV pilot. First things first, when you write a TV pilot, you want to find your hook. What's your hook? A hook is something that makes it unique and hooks in your audience. So for example, the hook in Breaking Bad is the story of a high school chemistry teacher who turns to cooking meth to support his family after a cancer diagnosis. The title, Breaking Bad, is the hook. The hook in The Goldbergs is that it takes place in the 1980s, and every episode is about something in the 80s. The hook for Dharma and Greg was a couple meets each other and marries each other on the same day, and now their lives are changed forever. Try to find a hook that will make you stand out from piles of scripts. After you find your hook, let's talk about the logline. A logline is a very short synopsis of your idea that you can easily pitch to cast, crew, managers, producers, whoever. Make your logline 30 words or less. Your logline might change later, but for today, write something down. If you want a better idea of a logline, use IMDb and look for the short synopsis that's written for every show and movie. You want a logline that grabs people's attention, and it's quick and catchy. The logline for my series, Monster Therapy, is monsters and their spouses work on relationship issues and marriage therapy. This is exactly what I said to people as I pitched it to them. I would then give examples, like how Jason's wife wants to replace his old ratty hockey mask, or how the children of the corn grew up and now they're adults of the corn, and they're sick of living in the corn. Take your time with brainstorming concept and logline. Feel free to grab a notebook and just sit down and write down a bunch of ideas that intrigue you. Don't be hard on yourself. This should be fun. Just take a scrap piece of paper and write something down. A lot of times, if you want to write good stuff, you need to brainstorm and write some bad stuff first. And that might mean writing some really bad loglines before you find a logline that you like. After you have a logline and a concept, think about what could happen in the series. It could be cool moments, story arcs, a joke, whatever keeps your brain thinking about it more and more and wanting to write more ideas down. And write them down as you go. Often as you look back at those ideas, you'll think about even more ideas to add. And when you pitch the series, we'll talk about pitching later, you want to give examples of what could happen in other episodes. So think of several ideas for several episodes. Have a blue sky period. When you start brainstorming your idea and possibilities of your story, there are no bad ideas. The Office called this the blue sky period, where in the first 2 weeks of the writing room, all ideas were welcome. It didn't matter if they made sense or didn't make sense. I mean, who burns their foot on a George Foreman grill? Michael Scott does. And it probably came from that blue sky period. When you first start writing, there are no stupid ideas. Let any idea go anywhere and everywhere you want to. After you have a main character, it often helps to think of dozens of storylines for that character, and then choose one of those storylines for your pilot. You want to have 30 or 40 storylines to choose from. Then you can start writing. And those 30 or 40 storylines can be terrible. Sometimes a terrible idea sparks another idea that's actually really good. When you first start brainstorming storylines, don't judge yourself. And don't judge your writing too hard. Just try to have fun. You want to brainstorm a bunch of storylines for each character so you can pick and choose later. And you want to figure out your A story, B story, C story, etc. The A story is usually the most important and is given to the main character. If you watch Frasier, the most significant story of every episode, the A story, goes to Frasier. In SpongeBob SquarePants, the A story is usually about SpongeBob SquarePants. Most of the A stories in The Office are about Michael. Most of the A stories in Breaking Bad are about Walter White. Also take note, as the letters get closer to Z, the less important the story is. Your A story is the story that drives everything else, and you should put the most time towards the A story. Let's talk about TV structure. Know how many acts the show has. Every TV show is broken down into different parts, which are called acts. Each act is about 9 to 15 pages long. The best way to think about this is acts take place between the commercials. For network TV, every time there's an act break, there's a commercial. For streaming services, you may not have commercials, but you'll usually notice the show will fade out and then fade into a new scene that starts a different act. TV dramas today consist of 5 acts. 5 acts is pretty standard for all 1-hour dramas and 1-hour scripted shows. Comedies tend to be 2 or 3 acts, but there's some comedies now with 4 acts. Traditional sitcoms like Sanford & Son, All in the Family, and I Live Lucy usually only had 2 acts. But as TV changes, so do structure of shows. This is why it's important to know your show and the amount of acts. Here's the structure of an episode of 30 Rock if you were watching it on NBC. Besides acts, most shows start with a cold open or a teaser. These are essentially the same thing, but in sitcoms, they're usually called cold opens. And in dramas, they're called teasers. This is the first scene that grabs the attention of the audience, something that hooks us in. If you watch Poker Face or a CSI type of show, the first scene is usually of someone getting murdered. And this hooks in the audience right away. Then, the story will unfold itself and go into Act 1. The Office was known for amazing cold opens. Like that time, Dwight made everyone believe there was a fire in the office, just so he could see how people would react. At the end of every act, there's usually some kind of cliffhanger to make the audience stick around. And if it's network TV, there'll be a commercial break as well. After in Act 1, a network show would have a commercial and then go into Act 2. And then after Act 2, another commercial, which would go into Act 3, and so forth and so on. Lastly, many shows will end with a tag. Like the cold open, this is usually a short scene, and it helps wrap up a small storyline, or it could be a hint of what could happen in the next episode. Or it gives us one more laugh if it's a sitcom. If you want to learn how to properly format your script, take my course and check out the example PDFs of script examples I provide in the course. Again, the link is in the video description. Your storylines will weave and be touched upon in each act. You want to have a strong A storyline for your main character in the pilot. And this storyline should also be a good, strong introduction for your audience. Your storyline and your series idea has to grab our attention. We'll dive more into writing later, but make sure the first 10 pages of your pilot episode are amazing. Your concept too. You want to make sure you keep the reader hooked. If you're writing a thriller, there better be some amazing thrills right away. For example, I don't remember exactly what happened in the pilot episode of 24, but I do remember when I was a kid, there was so much action and thrills in that series that everyone was talking about it when it first came out. You want that. You want to have the show that has everyone talking about it right away. If you're writing a comedy, make sure you have some big laughs and make them often. If you're writing a drama, make sure there's a lot of drama. You also want to have memorable characters too. But think about it like this. Your script has to be so good that a producer reads it and shares it with everyone in their office. You want people to talk about it. That's how you get meetings and get through the door. By being so good that whoever reads your script talks about it and they want to see it get made. To learn more on how to write your TV show, pitch your TV show, and a lot more, check out my TV writing course. Just click the link in the video description. In that description, you'll also find links to my screenwriting community, screenwriting coaching, and more TV writing resources.